I walked away from my family after they called me a loser. 1 year later, I was on a magazine cover, and they begged me to come home. Thanksgiving has always been a big deal in my family. I'm talking about a 20-person dinner, 3 turkeys, and enough wine to knock out an elephant. Every year, the same people sit in the same spots at my parents' long oak table in our home in upstate New York. This time last year, I sat at the far end, right between my cousins, 2 successful finance bros in Manhattan, and my younger sister, who had just landed a job at a law firm straight out of college. I, on the other hand, was 29 and still working part-time as a cashier while trying to build a freelance photography business that hadn't made a dime yet. I wasn't blind to how my family viewed me. They never said it outright before, but it was in their eyes. The awkward glances, the questions like, "So, still doing the camera thing? Or have you considered something more stable?" Even when I brought over prints I was proud of, they barely glanced at them before going back to talking about someone's promotion or vacation in Europe. But that Thanksgiving hit different. Dinner was going fine. Turkey, stuffing, football on in the background. Until my uncle, the funny one, raised a toast and said something like, "To everyone here making moves and building legacies, except Brian, who's still figuring out how to use a camera." Everyone laughed. Some out of politeness, some genuinely. And then my dad added, "Well, he's always been a dreamer. One day reality will catch up." I froze. My fork hovered halfway to my mouth. That was it. I stood up, slowly. Everyone went quiet. I didn't shout. I didn't curse. I just said, "You know what? I'm tired of being the family punching bag. I don't need this. I'm done." My mom tried to defuse it. "Brian, sit down. He was just joking." But I shook my head. "No, he wasn't. And neither were you, Dad." I walked out without another word, got in my 2007 Honda Civic, drove back to my tiny apartment, and cried. Not just because of the humiliation, but because part of me had hoped that someday they'd see what I was trying to build, that they'd believe in me, even just a little. But that night, something clicked. I decided I wasn't going to spend another year begging for their respect. I was going to earn it on my own terms. I blocked all of them, deleted the family group chat, even skipped Christmas. No texts, no calls. I went completely off the radar. It hurt, but it felt right. Over the next few months, I threw myself into my photography like my life depended on it, because, in a way, it did. I started waking up at 5 a.m. to catch golden hour shots, drove across states to get portraits of obscure places. I upgraded my gear by selling off old stuff, and even doing some delivery gigs on the side to afford a new lens. I began uploading my work online with zero expectations. But slowly, things started to change. A photo I took of a crumbling church in Pennsylvania went semi-viral on Reddit. Then a travel blogger reached out and offered to buy rights to a few of my shots. By March, I had booked my first paid gig for a wedding in Connecticut. Small, sure, but it was a start. I didn't tell anyone in my family, not even my mom. They had written me off, and I had no interest in proving them wrong with words. I wanted the results to speak for themselves. And oh, they eventually did. By spring, the momentum was undeniable. I went from shooting abandoned barns and roadside diners to being contacted by local magazines and small businesses. My Instagram, once stuck at a couple hundred followers, crossed 10K. I started getting DMs from people asking for prints or wanting to collaborate. I still remember the first time I got paid $2,000 for a brand shoot. It was a small outdoor gear company based in Vermont. They said my photos had soul. That stuck with me because no one in my family ever called anything I did meaningful. But strangers? They saw it. They felt it. I upgraded to a mirrorless Sony camera and started saving for a van so I could travel and live out of it full time. I wasn't rich, not by a long shot. I still budgeted meals, thrifted clothes, and worked ridiculous hours editing until 2 a.m. But for the first time in my adult life, I didn't feel like a loser. I felt like someone who had chosen his own path and was finally seeing it pay off. In July, a feature I shot on Forgotten Towns of America got picked up by a mid-tier travel blog with a decent following. That piece got me interviewed on a podcast, and from there, things snowballed. More clients, more followers, and more emails. Then came the email that changed everything. It was from Travel and Vision, a top-tier travel magazine I had read growing up. They wanted me to join a team of photographers covering a month-long project documenting climate-affected communities across the U.S. It was big, exposure, a good paycheck, and a feature in their print edition. I accepted without hesitation. And guess what? That feature dropped in November, exactly 1 year after I walked away from my family at Thanksgiving. A week before Thanksgiving this time around, I got a phone call. I didn't recognize the number, but something told me to answer. Brian. It was my sister, Emily. She sounded hesitant, awkward even. "Hey, I saw your photo spread. It's incredible." I stayed silent. I wasn't angry anymore. But I wasn't about to make it easy either. She continued, Mom's been following your Instagram. She's really proud of you. We all are. Dad? Well, he doesn't say it, but he's been showing your article to everyone. I let out a dry laugh. That's rich. I know, she sighed. Listen, last Thanksgiving was messed up. You didn't deserve that. I think it was easier for them to mock something they didn't understand than to admit you were brave enough to chase something they never had the guts to. That hit hard. I didn't expect that kind of honesty from her. She was always the golden child. Always the one who had it figured out. I'm sorry, she said. We all are. You proved us wrong, Brian. In the best way. For a second, I felt this strange mix of anger, validation, and sadness. I had wanted to hear those words for so long. But now that they came, I realized I didn't need them anymore. I appreciate that, I said finally. But I didn't do it for any of you. I did it because I had to. She paused. I know. But still. Would you consider coming home this Thanksgiving? Mom's making your favorite sweet potato pie. I smiled at the thought. But I also remembered how lonely that first holiday alone had been, and how much growth had come from it. I'll think about it, I said. And I meant it. I pulled into my parents' driveway just as the November sun began to set. Their house looked exactly the same. White siding, green shutters, a porch swing that had been there since I was in high school. For a moment, I sat in the car and stared at the house, the way someone might look at an old photograph. It felt familiar and foreign at the same time. I hadn't confirmed I was coming. I wanted it to be my decision, not something they could prepare for with a banner or fake smiles. If they were going to see me again, they'd see me as I am now, confident, grounded, and no longer the guy they once called a loser over mashed potatoes and cranberry sauce. When I walked in, the smell of roasted turkey, cinnamon, and sweet potato hit me like a wave of nostalgia. Everyone was already gathered in the dining room. The chatter stopped the second they saw me. My mom's eyes welled up. She walked over and hugged me tight, whispering, I'm so glad you came, honey. My dad stood up slowly. He didn't say anything right away, just nodded, like he was trying to figure out how to say a year's worth of unspoken things. You look good, he finally said. Healthy. Happy. I am, I replied. We sat down. It was quiet for a moment, the air heavy with all the things people didn't quite know how to say. But eventually, conversation picked up. No jabs. No passive-aggressive comments. Just cautious kindness. Even my uncle, who made the loser joke last year, avoided eye contact the entire meal. Halfway through dinner, my cousin Mark, the finance guy, asked, So, are you really living out of a van now? Yeah, I said. Converted it myself. Got solar, a bed, a workstation. It's not glamorous, but it lets me go where the stories are. That's actually kind of badass, he admitted. That's when I knew something had shifted. Not because they finally respected me, but because I no longer needed their respect to validate my choices. After dinner, my dad pulled me aside. He held out a copy of Travel and Vision, the issue with my feature. It was worn, folded, and clearly passed around. I've read this 3 times, he said. You've got a good eye? And guts too. I never told you that when I should have. I looked at him for a moment, not angry anymore, just tired of waiting for the past to be fixed. I needed you to believe in me when no one else did, I said. But I get it now. Some people can't see your worth until the world points it out for them. He nodded slowly, looking like he'd swallowed a bitter truth. I'm proud of you, he said. I mean that. I appreciated the words, but I didn't let them anchor me. I'd already built my life outside their approval. That night, I stayed only long enough for dessert. Before I left, my mom packed me a container of pie and said, Next year, don't wait so long to come back. I smiled. We'll see. Driving away, I felt lighter. Not because I had won or proven anything, but because I had returned on my terms. I wasn't the failure they thought I was, and more importantly, I wasn't the broken version of myself who needed them to tell me I wasn't. A year ago, I walked away to find myself. Now I know who I am, and I'm never going back to who I used to be.